So with obviously you've got your beautiful partner in the bedroom and you're kind of working through all this stuff. And I know that there are a lot of guys that we obviously treat at Optimale Health that have some issues when it comes to, perhaps lasting as long as they'd like. Obviously, they want to ensure that they're, satisfying their partner. Do you have any other like tools or tricks in order for them to last longer?
Yeah. So there's like long-term solutions and then the short-term solutions, right? Or the like short-term like biohacks. There's a few little tips and tricks from like the industry that I picked up along the way that are like, okay, you're starting to lose control. We need to do something right now, instantly, so we don't lose control and prematurely ejaculate. Because the first thing that guys need to, with this problem, right, of premature ejaculation, the first thing guys need to fundamentally understand is their own point of no return. So like that feeling that a guy has when like any more stimulation or sensation downstairs, game over, we're ejaculating, there's no turning back, like it's a one-way street now. That is what you call the point of no return. So guys will kind of, for some reason, I mean, I've always kind of been intimately aware of that point of no return, but some guys have trained themselves throughout their life through not just sex, but also through their masturbation habits to completely ignore and recognize the point of no return. So step one involves actually paying attention to your own body, be that during sex or be that during masturbation, as and I don't typically recommend masturbation. I typically recommend guys actually give up, pornography and give up masturbation. It's probably the first thing I advise guys to do. But there is strategic masturbation, and you can use it as a tool in certain instances, and this is one such instance, is in getting rid of premature ejaculation. So learning to being in tune with your own body and paying attention to it and learning to recognize, okay, this is what my point of no return feels like, and learning when to stop so that just in time or just before you get to that point, so you actually are now in more control of your orgasm. Okay. So we can recognize the point of no return. Now there's like I said, there's short-term solutions and long-term solutions. Like the short-term stuff is like little biohacks and things. It's kind of hard for me to describe it in words without imagery. But one such example would be what we call I call it kinking the hose. So basically, imagine. Actually, what I'm going to do is I'm going to grab a little plastic thing here, which is just a bit of audio visual cord. But this might actually help to demonstrate the scenario a little bit easier. So let's pretend, if I can straighten this damn thing out, let's pretend that is a not straight penile shaft. So, okay, let's say you're reaching the point, you're starting to approach the point of no return. Well, there's all the nerve endings that run up and down the penile shaft. Obviously the receptors start at the base, right? And they go all the way to the top. Well, you can actually kind of cut off the sensation to some of those nerve endings by simply breaking the chain, and that involves just creating a kink. So if any guys who are watching, like you've got your member in your hand or whatever, if you start to, because when you're erect, there's going to be some stiffness and some rigidity to it. If you can create a bend, you can bend it one way. Typically, for me at least, typically it's like bending it back towards you. You can kind of, instead of those nerve endings firing and running along properly, and this isn't painful, this is just like a slight adjustment, but that kind of cuts off the sensation immediately of those nerve endings at the very, very head of your penis, because you're breaking the chain at the very bottom, the very base of your penis. So that is like an old school, like porno biohack that people will use to just like immediately regain a bit of sensation. And then in terms of like long-term solutions, I touched on it briefly a second ago, but one methodology is to retrain yourself through deliberate masturbation, because a lot of guys will their whole life when they masturbate, all they're doing is it's like a sprint. It's like a race. They masturbate and they try to finish as quickly as they possibly can. Okay, well, what is that training your body to do? It's training your body to finish as quickly as it possibly can in the act of sex when you're with a partner. So how about we try to reprogram your body, the way your body responds to physical touch in that regard? So we start to implement what's called edging, really, which is basically when you're masturbating up just before the point of no return and then stopping and calming down again, regaining control, regaining composure, and then starting up again, stopping just before the point of no return, calming down again, regaining control, and doing that as many times as you need, as many times as you want, to reach a predetermined threshold that you've set. Okay, I want to last 10 minutes, I want to last 20 minutes, or whatever it is, right? But strategically using masturbation to practice building up to that threshold and remaining in control is this practice of like edging or deliberate masturbation practice. This is one such way of kind of retraining your own body to respond the way you actually want it to respond. Now, I know I mentioned before that I have some testimonials I can show you. Where we at? Premature ejaculation. There we go. Let's see. Does that show up there? Yeah, cool. Here we go. So I've got a couple of these testimonials I can throw up on the screen and show you. This is from one of my customers regarding preventing premature ejaculation. So Robin said, "Hi, big brother. Thank you, mate. I've been suffering from PE for the last 5 years. I often went to the doctor, and the advice was, 1, use a delay cream." Ooh, did I lose you?
Oh, I'm back.
Oh, no, here we go. 1, use a delay cream. 2, use thicker condoms and lidocaine condoms. And 3, my last hope was medication, which he took, but he had side effects. And guess what happened? Nothing worked. With my age of 34, I started to give up on sex when I was younger. I never had issues lasting long during sex. For the last 5 years, I couldn't control my orgasm and ejaculated within 2 to 4 minutes. After 2 days of using these techniques and exercises, I have almost completely gained control of my arousal level and 30 minutes of sex without coming. I am thrilled, and I will continue with the 4 weeks of recovery program. So that, like, this isn't a joke. Like, these guys can like really drastically change their sex life within the space of like a week or 2. Yeah. So this other one here. Hey, Stirling, big bro. Wanted to say thank you for your ebooks and the exercises you provided. Not only did they work, but they also helped my relationship with my current girl, whom I'm going to get married to potentially in a few months. Learning to be present in the moment, I was able to last long and make my girl come 7 times in one day and 11 times the next one. Seriously, your advice works, and people shouldn't think twice. You may see results immediately, but you will notice improvements in other aspects of your life, not just such as fitness, diet, and becoming a badass, successful person.
Sorry.
All good?
I don't know what's going on with my... Okay.
What was happening?
It's it was saying that it wasn't charging. Sorry. But now it's
always having technical difficulties today. It's all good.
Yeah. Yes. So you just did a testimonial. So yeah, that's so good. It's so good to see that. Yeah, people firsthand are sharing to you, and I'm sure there would be so many others that it's worked really well that they haven't obviously shared as well. So that's really great to see. Yeah,
for someone to reach out and proactively like share their story like that, because that requires a bit of vulnerability, to be honest. Like, for a guy to say, "Hey, I was lacking in the bedroom in this particular area," and it's like he has to be quite honest and forthcoming with that. But I like that first testimony I showed there. Like, he mentioned how he was trying like numbing creams and like lidocaine condoms and things like this, and that's something I really have a problem with. Like, I really advise against using those things, because it's a band-aid solution to a deeper underlying problem. If you're prematurely ejaculating, if you're coming quicker than you want to, Because that's ultimately, that's the only real definition of that condition, right? People will try to like, oh, if you premature ejaculation is ejaculating in under like a certain period of time. No, it's not. It's not ejaculating when you want to. Simple as that, right? You can last as long as you want or as short as you want as a guy. Like, just, it's up to you. But that's the whole point. You want to be in control of it to start with. But using things like numbing creams, well, not only is that a band-aid solution, but it also sucks for your partner too. Because if you're using a numbing cream on your penis, guess what? That's going to rub off on her clitoris, and now she can't feel anything either. So sex is now shit for both of you. Congratulations. But like, it's the analogy I like to use is like, okay, well, if we're going to use something like numbing cream to prevent premature ejaculation, that is the equivalent of me. Let's say I have a stone in my shoe, and I'm walking around with a stone in my shoe, and it's causing pain in my foot. That would be like the equivalent of me taking a Panadol, taking an aspirin for the pain in my foot, rather than just taking my goddamn shoe off and getting rid of the pebble in the first place. We want to treat the underlying problem. And in this situation, there's a couple of reasons why a guy might be prematurely ejaculating. But one such example is a guy who has trained his own body to act a certain way, a guy who's trained his own body to finish as quickly as it possibly can. Okay, cool. Now we need to undo that. We need to fix that.
Yeah,